Assalamu alaikum. I'm Zumna and today I'll be presenting one of the most powerful tools in cybersecurity, which is also my personal favorite, Burpsuite. And I'll do that by demonstrating two attacks that are listed in the OWASP API Security Top 10. Firstly, let's introduce Burpsuite. It's a powerful tool for testing and identifying vulnerabilities in web applications. It combines manual and automated testing techniques for thorough security analysis. Some of the key features include a proxy that intercepts and analyzes requests and responses. It has a repeater that allows manual manipulation and resending of requests. It also has a scanner that automates detection of vulnerabilities, and an intruder that simulates attacks to identify weak points. Now let's discuss why did I or why should anyone choose Burp Suite. It's widely trusted by cybersecurity professionals for penetration testing and analysis, which ensures reliable and very credible results. It has a user-friendly interface and a very comprehensive toolkit, making it an ideal choice for executing an effective assignment. With everything you need in one tool, it's perfect for both beginners and experts in security testing. Here is a part of the OWASP API Security Top 10 list, out of which I'll be performing the top two, that are broken object level authorization and broken authentication. Broken authentication occurs when an API allows attackers to bypass authentication mechanisms, often due to weak or flawed session management. Whereas broken object level authorization happens when APIs fail to properly enforce access controls that allows the attackers to access or manipulate data that they shouldn't be able to. I'll be demonstrating both of these in the form of attacks with the help of Burp Suite. Instead of talking about the application I used and talking more about Burp Suite, I would like to move on towards the demo. The application that I'm going to be using to demonstrate these vulnerabilities is OWASP Juice Shop. It's a deliberately made vulnerable web application that is designed for security testing and training. To save time, I've already set up the application using Docker. And for those unfamiliar, Docker is a platform that allows applications to run in isolated containers, making deployment straightforward and efficient. Now I'm going to show you some of the commands that I executed before going towards the attacks. So this is one of the first commands that I executed, and what this does is that it pulls the latest image of the application that I'm going to be using from the Docker Hub. This step ensures that we're using the most up-to-date version of the application. The next command that I did was this one, and this maps the Docker's internal port 3000 to our local machine. This is crucial because the app runs inside the Docker container and port mapping allows us to access it locally. And finally, I executed this command that shows us the running Docker containers, and it verifies that the application is successfully deployed, as you can see over here. Now that Juice Shop is running, let's go towards Burpsuite. So I've added the startup of Burpsuite in this video so that people who are unfamiliar with it can also go along with it. Burpsuite can be easily downloaded and installed from their official website. After starting Burpsuite, this is the main dashboard, and as discussed earlier, these are some of the tools, the proxy, intruder, and repeater, etc. So I'll go towards the proxy tab and open the browser. And then I'll navigate to the local host where I am running my Juice Shop application. As you can see, this is the application that I'm going to be using. I'll start by demonstrating broken authentication, and for that I'm going to go to the login page and enter any invalid credentials. Before clicking on login, I'm going to go back to Burpsuite and turn on the intercept. Then I'm going to click on login, and we can see that the request that I was about to send was intercepted because the email and password I sent are test and they are over here. Now I'm going to send this to the repeater first. And in the repeater, we can see that this is the request, and if I manually send it, this is the response that I get with the error message that invalid email or password has been entered, which was obvious because I entered invalid credentials. So I'm going to copy this for later, and now I'm going to send this request to the intruder. So firstly, I'm going to clear these signs, and then I'm going to reselect this position and add this sign again, And what this does is that it specifies the position that my payloads are going to be inserted in. Now going to the payloads tab, I'm going to load a list of SQL queries as you can see over here, and these queries are going to be inserted one by one to the payload position that I set in the previous tab. And I'm going to disable the payload encoding because we want the queries to go as they are. Next, I'm going to go to the options section, and over here firstly I'm going to clear this and then paste, because so that all the strings that match this message are marked. Now I'm going to start the attack, and one by one these queries are being inserted in that position. So if I sort the payloads according to their status, we can see that these three were successful because of their status, which is 200, which means okay. Now if I click on any one of these, we can see that this is the payload that was inserted over here, and in its response we can see that now we have access to the token and authentication has been broken. And not just any account's authentication, now I have the access of the admin's account. So if I want to test it manually, I'll copy this payload, go back to the application, and over here I'm going to put this payload, and before logging in I have to turn off the intercept, go back, and then when I log in I can see that now I have logged in the admin's account. This means that authentication has been broken successfully, and now I have the privileges of the admin's account. Next, I'm going to perform broken object level authorization. For this, one needs an account, and I've already made one to save some time, so I'll just log in using my credentials. And then I'm going to add any random items to my basket. So for example, this, and over here you can see in my basket that I've added banana juice and apple juice. So if I go back to Burpsuite and go to my HTTP history and scroll down over here, if I expand this request and response, over here I can see that these are the contents of my basket. Here's the banana juice, and over here is the apple juice. And I can also see my basket ID, which is 6. So what happens if I try to change the basket ID and enter someone else's? For that, I'll be setting it to the repeater, and over here in the get request I'm going to change the 6 and add 4, for example. So now when I send it, it shows me raspberry juice, and this is not something that I added into my cart, which means that it's showing me the contents of someone else's card, which should not be happening. And this means that I've successfully executed broken object level authorization as well. Let's review the results of our demo. For broken authentication, I intercepted and manipulated login requests to show how weak session handling can lead to unauthorized access. For broken object level authorization, or BOLA, I demonstrated how improper access controls can expose sensitive data or allow attackers to manipulate it. Overall, the demo successfully showed how these vulnerabilities can be identified and exploited in a real-world context. To conclude, we've explored two critical vulnerabilities: broken authentication and broken object level authorization from the OWASP API Security Top 10. I demonstrated how Burpsuite can be effectively used to identify and exploit these vulnerabilities. This highlights the importance of understanding and addressing API security issues to protect modern applications. This is the work division that my group members and I followed, and with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.